Alright, transitions. This is math transitions for January the 19th through the 22nd. Alright, we're going to do some basic geometry, looking at some basic geometry formulas and just some really quick, hopefully, review for you. Alright, really quickly we're going to talk about area and perimeter. Alright, so if I'm looking at a rectangle, then area is found by multiplying the length times the width. Alright, to find the perimeter, then I would take 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Or I can add all the sides together. Alright, circle is figured a little differently. So for the area of a circle, I'm going to use pi times radius squared. Alright, R stands for my radius, which is half the distance of the circle. Alright, half the distance. Alright, so this would be radius. To find the perimeter, actually we don't find the perimeter of a circle, we find the circumference, which is the same thing, it's the same principle of it. We call it circumference of the circle, which is the distance around the circle, is 2 pi r. Now, depending on what calculator you're using or what it is you are using to multiply, do know that pi is equal to 3.14, or if you are actually using the pi button on a calculator, it does go further than 3.14. So it might be a little bit different. Alright, and then let's look at a triangle. Alright, to find the area of a triangle, you're going to do area equals 1/2 base times height. Alright, and B is your base, H is your height. Alright, so using these formulas, let's look at a few problems. Alright, so let's say it gives me a question. What is the area in square inches of a right triangle in a plane whose horizontal leg is 3 inches longer than twice its vertical leg, and whose vertical leg has the length of 8 inches? Okay, so a lot of different things that it tells us here. So it tells us it is a right triangle. Alright. And it says the horizontal leg is 3 inches longer than twice its vertical leg. So, and then it tells us the vertical leg has a length of 8 inches. So this is my vertical leg, so that is 8. And it tells me that the horizontal leg is 3 inches longer than twice the vertical leg. So twice the vertical leg would be 16, plus 3 would be 19. Alright? So it wants to know what is the area in square inches of this. Alright? So, if you remember to find the area, I do 1/2 base times height. So area equals 1/2 base, which it doesn't matter if you put the 8 or the 19 first. Alright? So now I would figure this out. I can multiply the 1/2 times the 8, which would give me 4 times 19, which gives me 76 square inches. What is the area in square inches of a right triangle in the plane whose horizontal leg is 3 inches longer then twice its vertical leg, and whose vertical leg has the length of n inches. So now, instead of them giving us a number, they want to know what happens if this is n inches. So it tells us that the horizontal leg is 3 inches longer than twice the vertical. So twice the vertical would be 2n plus 3. And now I'm just going to plug that into my formula here. So 1/2 times base times height. Alright, and we don't leave it like this. We go ahead and simplify it as much as we possibly can. So we are going to multiply 1/2. Let's multiply the n and the 2n plus 3. So n times 2n is 2n squared. And 3 times n is 3n. Alright? And then I multiply that through by 1/2. So 1/2 times 2n, that would be 2 over 2, which is 1. So I get n squared plus 3n times 1/2 would be 3 halves n. Alright? So this would be the area of this triangle. Guys, you're going to see a lot of word problems here, so you need to make sure that you're paying attention on how to work them out. Alright, so let's look at another problem. So let's say that I have a rest area at a shopping mall. And it tells me that it consists of a rectangular space here. So we'll draw our rectangular space. And it says it has a length of 40 feet. And it has a width of 25 feet. All of which will be tiled except for a circular area that is inside. Alright, so there is a circular area here. And it tells me that circular area has a diameter of 6 feet. Alright? And they're going to use that as green space. So they want to know how much will it cost to tile the rest area if the tile selected costs $3 per square foot. Alright, so the tile is $3 per square foot. So we want to know the total amount that's going to cost us. Well, if I'm trying to figure out how much it's going to cost to tile the inside of a figure, that means I would find the area. The only problem is I have this one little spot here that doesn't get tiled. So, how do we go about doing this? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the area of the entire rectangle. Okay, so the area of the rectangle, if you remember, is length times width. So that would be 40 times 25. Alright, which would give me, what, 1,000? Alright. So then, what I'm going to do is I need to find the area of my circle. Alright. I'm going to find the area of my circle. So this is my rectangle. And then find the area of my circle. So to find the area of the circle, I would do pi r squared. Now, it gave me the diameter. Diameter is the whole entire thing. I want half of that. So the radius of this is 3. So I would do 3 squared. Now, I'm going to have to use my calculator. Most calculators have a pi button, but if they do not, that is okay. This one, in this case, does not. So 3 squared is 9, so I have 9 pi. So 9 times 3.14 gives me approximately 28 So now that I found the area of my rectangle, I found the area of my circle. Now I need to subtract the two because I'm not tiling this part. So now I'm going to do 1,000 minus 28.26. Alright, so if I do that, that gives me approximately 971 7/4 square feet. Okay, which means that's what I have to tile. Now, I'm going to, they want us to figure out the total cost, and it is $3 per square foot. Alright, so I have to multiply this times $3. So when I do that, I get $2,915.22. So here it tells us to round to the nearest dollar. So it's approximately $2,915. Okay? Alright, so you're going to get some word problems that will work with the formulas. If you did not write those formulas down and you don't know them by heart, then I would suggest that you go back to the beginning and write those formulas down because you're going to need them. Alright, the second part that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about coordinate geometry. Guys, basically this just means plotting points on a coordinate plane and doing different things with that. So let's say that it tells me to plot the following pairs of points on the coordinate plane and then find the distance between them. So it wants me to plot -4, -2, and it wants me to plot -1, -2. Alright, so if you have graph paper, this might be easier for you. If you don't, it's fine, just draw a graph. So it wants us to graph -4, remember the first number tells us left or right, so -4, the second number tells us up or down, I'm going to go down 2, so -4, -2, and then -1, -2, so now it wants me to find the distance between the two. Since it's a horizontal line, then I can visualize the distance of this. I can look and see that it goes 1, 2, 3. The distance would be 3. There is another way that you can figure out the distance, and that is to take the absolute value of -4 minus a -1. Alright, so that would be -4 plus 1. The absolute value of -3 would be 3. Alright. So I would take the x coordinates here because they're the ones that are not the same. Alright, let's look at, I'll just use this graph here because I think we'll be okay. So then let's say it wants me to do plot point 1, 2 and 1, -5. So 1, 2 and 1, -5. Alright, so notice here I'm dealing with a vertical line. Alright, so once again, because it's a vertical line, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can see that my distance, I'm sorry, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, the distance is 7. I miscounted. Alright, so the distance is 7. Here, I can, since my x's are the same, I can do the absolute value of my y's. So 2 minus a -5. The absolute value of 2 plus 5, which is the absolute value of 7, which is 7. Okay? Alright. Let's say that it gives me just a little bit more of a difficult problem. And it says to sketch a polygon. Alright, and it tells me the vertices are -1, 2, 5, 2, 8, 1, 5, -3, -1, -3, -3, -1, and then back to -1, 2. Okay? And it tells me the edges are line segments that connect successive pairs of vertices. It wants us to find the area of this polygon. Alright, so I think 8 is my biggest. Alright, so -1, -1, 2. Alright, 5, 2. And I'm going to connect them as I go, because I'm supposed to be drawing a polygon. So 8, 1, 5, -3, -1, -3, -3, -1, and then back to -1, 2. Alright, so here's my polygon, and it wants us to find the area. Alright, so it can be seen from the sketch that the region enclosed by the polygon can be decomposed into a rectangle and 2 triangles. Okay? So, if you will look at this, I could create, let me get a colored pencil here. I can create a rectangle and 2 triangles here. Alright. So, now let's think about this. We need to look at finding the area of each of these things. Alright. So I can actually figure out the length and the width of my rectangle. So we'll start with the rectangle. Alright. The rectangle, so, and probably what I should have done is labeled my points, because that would have helped me when it comes time to figure this out, instead of having to go back and look. So I can look at this and see, okay, so I go from -1 to 5. So the length of my rectangle is 6. Alright? And I can look at the width of my rectangle, and it goes from 2 to -3. So the width of my rectangle is 5. Now I can figure out the area of my rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is 6 times 5, which is 30. Okay? So the area of this figure right here is 30. Now I need to find the area of the 2 triangles. Alright, so one of the triangles has vertices -1, 2, -3, -1, and -1, -3. So I know the base of it. If I look at the base of my triangle, it goes from 2 to -3. So the base of my triangle, alright, so we'll call this triangle number 1. The base is 5. Alright? Now, let's figure out the length of this. Alright? The length of this would be basically right here. Not the length, I'm sorry, the height. Alright, the height would be here. So the height is going from -1 to -3, so the height of that is 2. Alright? So now to find the area of my triangle, I'm going to do 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 of 2 is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. So the area of this triangle is 5. Alright, let's look at the other triangle that I have here. Alright, triangle number 2. The base is, well, it goes from 2 to -3, so the base is 5. Alright, let's look at our height. Alright, the height of this triangle has a height of 3. Alright, so now we can figure this out. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Alright, so 1/2 times 5 is 5 halves. 5 halves times 3 is 15 halves. Alright, which if I look at that, that is 7.5. So now how do I find the area of the whole entire thing? I'm going to add it. So 30 plus 5 plus 7.5. So 30 plus 5 is 35 plus 7 is 42 and 1/2. And it doesn't tell me if I'm measuring in inches or anything like that, so I really can't say that it's square inches. All I'm going to say is that the area is 42.5. Okay? Alright guys, that's about it as far as me teaching you how to do these things. Now it's just a matter of applying the rules that I have given you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys later.